Hidden deep within the canals of Xochimilco, a sprawling network of waterways south of Mexico City, lies a small and eerie island known as the Island of Dolls, or Isla de las Muñecas. From the moment you approach this unsettling location by boat, the atmosphere seems to shift. Hundreds of dolls in various states of decay dangle from the trees, their empty eyes staring down at you, their forms weathered by time and the elements. This is no ordinary island, it is a place that has captured the imagination of adventurers, haunted the dreams of skeptics, and terrified those who dare to explore its mysteries. But how did this seemingly ordinary plot of land become one of the most spine-chilling places in the world? To understand the story, we must dive into its history, one shrouded in tragedy, isolation, obsession, and the supernatural. The story of the Island of Dolls begins in the mid-20th century. At the time, it was just another piece of land among the many chinampas, or floating gardens, that characterize Xochimilco. These artificial islands were originally created by the Aztecs, who used them for agriculture. Over centuries, the canals became a hub of cultural and historical significance, eventually earning a place as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. In the 1950s, this particular island became the home of a man named Don Julián Santana Barrera. Don Julián was a reclusive and deeply religious individual who chose a life of isolation. He retreated to the island to live a peaceful life away from the chaos of the city. For years, he farmed and tended to the land, living modestly and alone. But one tragic event would forever change both his life and the destiny of the island. According to local legend, a young girl drowned in the canal that surrounded the island. The circumstances of her death remain unclear. Some say she had been playing near the water when she accidentally fell in and was carried away by the current. Others whisper darker tales, that her death was not an accident at all. Whatever the truth, her lifeless body was eventually found floating near the island, her tragic fate sending ripples of grief through the area. Don Julián, the island's only inhabitant, claimed that from the moment the girl's body was discovered, strange occurrences began to unfold. He spoke of hearing whispers and cries at night, even though no one else was there. He claimed he could feel an unseen presence watching him, its energy heavy and sorrowful. One day, shortly after the girl's death, Don Julián found something floating in the canal, a doll. Its body was dirty and broken, likely discarded by someone upstream. Believing the doll belonged to the drowned girl, he decided to hang it from a tree as a gesture of respect, hoping it would appease her restless spirit. But this small act of kindness marked the beginning of an obsession that would consume him for the rest of his life. Don Julián became convinced that the girl's spirit was not at peace and that she lingered on the island. He also began to believe that other spirits, perhaps drawn by the tragedy, were starting to gather there. In an effort to protect himself and appease these entities, he began collecting dolls. Every doll he found was hung on the trees or placed around the island. He didn't care if they were new or old, pristine or broken. To him, each doll was a guardian, a companion for the girl, or an offering to the spirits. Over the years, the island transformed into a macabre spectacle. Dolls with missing limbs, cracked faces, and empty eyes stared out from every corner, creating an atmosphere that was both eerie and deeply unsettling. Visitors who happened upon the island during Don Julián's lifetime often described him as eccentric but kind. They noticed his unwavering dedication to his collection and his deep conviction that the dolls were keeping the spirits at bay. As the island's reputation grew, so did the stories of supernatural occurrences. Visitors reported hearing whispers and faint laughter, even though no one else was around. Some claimed to see the dolls' eyes move, their heads turning as if to follow people as they walked by. Others spoke of inexplicable chills, feelings of being watched, and an overwhelming sense of unease. Paranormal investigators who later visited the island documented electromagnetic disturbances and strange sounds, adding fuel to the belief that the island was truly haunted. Even Don Julián himself began to speak of eerie experiences. He claimed that the dolls would sometimes come alive at night, their plastic hands moving and their glassy eyes staring into the darkness. He believed these were signs of the spirits communicating with him, reminding him to keep hanging more dolls. In 2001, the eerie tale of the Island of Dolls took an even darker turn. One day, Don Julián was found dead in the canal, his body floating in the water. To the shock of those who knew him, his death occurred in the very same spot where the young girl had drowned years earlier. This chilling coincidence led many to believe that the girl's spirit had finally claimed him. Some say she had grown tired of his efforts to appease her, while others speculate that his years of isolation and obsession had driven him to madness, causing him to end his own life. Whatever the truth, Don Julián's death cemented the island's status as a place of tragedy and mystery. After Don Julián's passing, the island was taken over by his family, who decided to open it to visitors. Today, the Island of Dolls is a major tourist destination, drawing thrill seekers, paranormal enthusiasts, and curious travelers from around the world. Visitors arrive by boat, navigating the winding canals of Xochimilco. As they approach, the sight of hundreds of dolls hanging from trees creates an immediate sense of unease. Each doll tells its own story, its decayed form adding to the island's haunting beauty. Tourists often bring their own dolls to add to the collection, treating the island as both a shrine and a haunted attraction. Over the years, countless rumors have added to the island's mystique. The dolls are possessed. Many believe that the dolls are vessels for spirits, their plastic bodies harboring the souls of the dead. Curses. Some say that removing a doll from the island will bring a curse upon the thief. Portal to the afterlife. Others claim that the island is a gateway between the living and the dead, a place where spirits freely cross over. The Island of Dolls remains a place of mystery and fear, a haunting reminder of one man's devotion and the power of the supernatural. Whether you see it as a tragic memorial, a site of genuine hauntings, or simply a bizarre tourist attraction, one thing is certain: the Island of Dolls leaves an impression that lingers long after you leave. Would you dare to visit?